Welcome to a special edition.
Special edition.
Super special.
No intro, none of that shit.
No.
We're not even gonna edit. I'm not even using a mic. Like,
yeah, this is not your typical episode of It's a Grandma Matt podcast, but given all the situations, we figure we better say a few things about this. So for those who've been living under a rock, insurrectionists
invite me.
Yeah, insurrectionists from the far right had managed to breach into the Capitol building yesterday. And
let's call them what they are: domestic terrorists.
They're fucking terrorists. They're fucking terrorists. So it's fucking stupid. My thoughts are, if this was a Black Lives Matter protest, there would have been, bloodshed in the street. Luckily only one terrorist got shot. Which a lot of people on the right are trying to already like turn this person into like a savior for their movement, a la George Floyd.
Oh, BS. I mean, you watch the video, and here's the deal again. Like, expect the worst, right? Like, if you steal a pack of gum, you expect consequences, right? If you punch somebody in the face, you expect consequences, right? If you punch a cop in the face, you expect serious consequences. If you run into a building that you broke a window through and you're trying to get through the window, what the frick do you think a governmental building with our leaders sitting in it are going to do? The only people that had guns in that building were the Secret Service, right?
Yep.
There were people outside wielding.
Like, well, I'm saying legal people, though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I saw yesterday that just really set me off was that even during the Civil War, there was never a Confederate flag, never the stars and bars ever flown inside the Capitol until yesterday.
About lost my shit when I saw that. And the only comment I have for that is like, have fun in prison, you piece of shit.
Yeah, I also noticed that, Alan, and it's funny to me because these people are calling themselves patriots and all this stuff. Like, they're there for a free America. They're in our state capitol brandishing Confederate flags. Like, it's so counterintuitive to everything that they allegedly stand for. But I mean, where does the president sit on all this? Like, what is his role in all this? I mean, obviously, homeboy is out there calling for these kind of marches. Alan, you've been talking about this for days before yesterday. That there's this big, huge march planned for the 6th during the certification hearings. And lo and behold, boom, there we go. And I don't know if this is true yet, but from what I've been seeing, the cops basically just let these fuckers in. Now, I don't know if it was
it looks like there's portions of the barrier that were just let open, and there was other portions that were like, you're not freaking coming in here. There was parts of this where it was like, this ain't happening, and there's parts like, we're letting it happen. And whatever the decision on that one too is, I could see being outmanned, and be like, what are we going to do? And they didn't have guns or anything on them. So what are we going to do? We got to retreat.
Yeah, they had like nightsticks.
Or just let them in because they're not going to go inside. They're not going to go inside. That could be a mentality. But I saw those things too, and it was pockets of it is what it seemed like.
Well, and there was video too, like, because I was watching it all day. I was at work, and then I got these alerts on my phone, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? So then I just started pulling up the live streams of it, and we were watching it. And one of the streams, I was actually literally saw like officers like taking selfies with these terrorists.
And every one of those sons of bitches need to get fired.
And then there was another video clip I saw today of where some of these cops were actually lifting up these metal barricades and letting people through.
Yeah, the chief of Capitol Police has already resigned. Along with, I believe, 4 different cabinet members of the Trump administration have also put in their resignations. The thing that I think is the worst part of it all is, during the certification process, you still had these objections going through for no reason. And like, to me, it's like, how much more are you going to embolden these kind of people? Because the biggest fear that I have now, after going on websites like 4chan and stuff and just kind of getting that perspective on things, is these people know now that they can do these kind of things, and they're not going to get shot, they're not going to get killed. One person killed. If you think about how many people have died across all these Black Lives Matter protests and everything like that, there was nothing compared to yesterday. And they're busting down businesses and starting fires and starting police departments on fire, to which I might add, the president was like, don't touch our federal buildings or our government buildings, or 10-year minimum sentence.
Yep.
But we have these fucking terrorists just marching on into the Capitol and stealing. And
part of this, there was a buildup with like the George Floyd, right? There's 2 or 3 days. Third night is when things kind of popped off, right? And that's when the shitheads were there.
Yeah.
But this situation that bothers me is that it's been talked about. We all knew January 6th. The president said, be prepared for January 6th. We all knew. So where in the hell were the forces, the reinforcement? Where the hell was that? Because just the fact that and the dude who was refusing to let go, and I'm not going to even disagree with the fact of, like, if someone wants to keep trying to win, they're going to keep trying to win. I'm not going to dispute that. The way this asshole did it, I don't like. But knowing that it was this guy, his behavior, his followers, the followers, like these, or whatever these weird people are, some who aren't followers and they're just anarchists.
Yeah.
These people that we know that are going to start some crap. And there's been warnings for over a month now about the 6th.
Yep.
Why was there not more?
I was going to point that out, that this has been in planning for quite a while now. And like, there was chatter, they used the internet, they used all these like either alternative social media sites or these chat rooms and stuff, or 4chan to plan this stuff out. Parlor, yeah.
You can't even get on the frickin' floor of a concert as easy as some of these bastards got into the Capitol.
Oh, ridiculous. I'm gonna see if I can...
It just, and no fear. And people going up and taking the American flag down and putting the Trump flag up. Like, so here's the deal for me. When I saw that, and when I saw the Confederate flag, and when I saw that douchebag in Nancy Pelosi's office, I fucking hate Nancy Pelosi, don't get me wrong. She's not the representative that I'm like, yay. But that's those 3 freaking things right there, man. So diabetic wise, I took my blood sugar level right before this, like when this was all starting to go down, because I started watching the vote while I was at work, which I shouldn't have been, but I was doing it anyway. I was at an 83. By the time I got home, I was at 233 for blood sugar level. It jumped that much because of stress.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. Like what this did to me this far away. And those 3 things were the biggest part of it, where I'm like, well, 1, what the hell? How are these people getting in there? 2, you freaking kidding me? You replaced the flag with Trump's flag?
Yep.
And then
you saw that one too.
Flag going through the halls. I was like, this is not who we are.
No.
And this is going to get represented as who we are.
Yeah. And what's funny is, our last episode, and I don't know what's going to be aired first, if we're going to be airing this first or the other one, but during our cancel culture episode, I was literally sitting there saying, I don't quite think you can call Donald Trump a fascist, but I have to eat crow on that. I mean, like, just the very act of throwing up a Trump flag instead of the United States flag, like, to me, it's like that. Okay, that's surefire fascism. And a lot of people have drawn comparisons to this with the beer hall putsch. I'm probably butchered that putsch word. That was when Hitler attempted to do that coup, and that's what got him thrown in prison. But I mean, very reminiscent, and the shocking thing of it all is, talking to a family member even, and them saying, well, I mean, look at what they did to all these businesses and everything. Look at those protests. It's like, yeah, but they didn't bust into the fucking Capitol building. That's a completely different. I mean, like if you have to have our state, like our federal government, like our Congress members huddled underneath benches, like there's some fucking kids during a school shooting.
Yep.
Gas masks going off and FBI throwing out the, Secret Services going out there and barricading doors.
Yeah.
To protect
Totally different scenario.
To protect our frickin' leaders, whether we agree with them or not. They're voted in leaders, and yes, maybe, we all have our idea about how long they should frickin' be there, but they're voted in leaders of our country, and they have to do that crap. Like that's nonsense. And they're not protesters. They're not rioters. Rioters are everything that happened this summer, and protest was everything that happened this summer. These are goddamn terrorists.
They're terrorists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they committed insurrection. It was sedition, is what it was, plain and simple.
There's no way. And we talked about this, like the Rage Against the Machine mentality. Going down Rodeo with a shotgun. There's moments, and this is why the Constitution exists. There's moments where we need to take over our government. We have that ability to take back our government. This wasn't one of those moments. A crybaby. Some people who are unwilling to let the process happen, even if the process is fucked up. And if the process is fucked up, we have law to figure it out.
Yeah.
And the process was happening yesterday when this was going on. For us to find out, they were doing the people's work, and they were finding out, and they were debating, and they had the right to debate, because if they disagreed, whatever, Ted Cruz and all his little minions, if they're disagreeing with every freaking Democratic vote, they get that opportunity to do the process, right?
Yep.
And to debate and come back and say in person, every one of them would have to say what their vote was.
Yep.
And so that's the process. And that's where we get to find out legitimacy of the vote, right? Whether we disagree with that process and how long it could take, that's that process. So to cry of these crybabies, these freaking whiners that go out and do this act, you can cry at home, you can throw a hissy fit on Facebook, but to go into this mentality and bum rush the goddamn Capitol and go in and do this shit, that's terrorism.
I want to share two quotes from former Secretary of Defense General Mattis.
Oh, ex-secretary?
Ex-secretary, yep. Today's violent assault on our capital, an effort to subjugate American democracy by mob rule, was fomented by Mr. Trump. He also further said, our Constitution and our Republic will overcome this stain, and we, the people, will come together again in our never-ending effort to form a more perfect union, while Mr. Trump will deservedly be left a man without a country.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's now calls on both sides of the aisle calling for Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment, which, some of you guys, I mean, I've talked to a few people about this, and a lot of them don't know what exactly that means. So the 25th Amendment basically says that if the president's incapacitated, then it goes to the next chain of command, should be the vice president.
It was
or the vice president and the cabinet.
Yep.
They can basically agree to say, hey, he's unfit to do his duties. We're gonna tell him to fuck off. And
it's meant it's meant as a physical inability or mental health inability.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I mean,
here's one of those videos of a cop just waving people in.
Yep.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like
and for people to not realize like everyone and their mother has Snapchat and
TikTok
Instagram and TikTok. And so for you to think that you're not going to get caught doing these things nowadays, just mind-boggling to me that like the cops who are taking pictures with people.
Yeah.
Where is it in your mindset that like every cop and their family knows, like, hey, I got to go work the Capitol today. Why? Because I'm protecting the Capitol today.
Yeah.
Like, where in your mind goes, all right, bro, I'll take a selfie. Like,
yeah.
What?
The other thing too is that the Capitol Police had a plan because they knew about this was going to they knew this was going to happen. They knew there was a march plan. They knew there was quote unquote protest. They knew this was going to happen, and they had intel that it could turn wild. I mean, Trump himself said it's going to be a wild day. So they had this plan set in place and then didn't follow through with any of it.
Well, and that's just it. If their plan, and I get it again, I understand. I understand security. I understand law enforcement. That's part of my background. Family in it. What this does too is make all my family who is in law enforcement look like D-bags when they're not. By the way, it just gives another bad rep to the law enforcement in our country.
Yep.
Especially when it's the Capitol Police. They're supposed to have the utmost responsibility, right? But I can understand if there's a moment where you're just going to lose, and it gets to a point, but there's always got to be a setup. So if you have barriers, right? If you're at a protest, you have barriers. If that barrier breaks, what do you have behind it? You have another barrier of some sort, right? Just like military. If you put up archers and the archers fail, who do you have next? The guys with axes and swords. And if that doesn't work, then you have the burning oil coming off the side of the concrete building, melting people, right? Like you always have something. Then you have the bridge that draws up, so people have to go over the crocodile water. Like you always have fucking plan after plan. So I could see if the barriers weren't working, back the fuck up, because we're just going to regroup. Some of that you don't see.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, if you look at like the contrast between the security they had during the Black Lives Matter protests in DC versus what they had yesterday, it's night and day.
They skipped the first 5 barriers.
Yeah,
look at
The
that.
first 5 barriers and went straight to military. Like you can't even see who these fuckers are, but all the guys that you saw yesterday were like,
yeah, like that's the thing. It's like, I mean, if anything, this shows like that police are capable, like,
of self-restraint.
Yeah, like, but at the same time, like, I feel like they were planning on shooting a whole lot more people during that Black Lives Matter protest. Like, they're ready for one person to step out of line and start blasting, and they weren't doing that at all yesterday.
I flat out am so freaking surprised because when they finally said the military is coming in, the National Guard is coming in, I'm like, we're gonna see a lot of people dead. And news anchors are saying, but news anchors of I don't care what station it is, they're out there to exploit everything. It's just the terminology, the verbiage, the verbiage they use is like they use bloodshed yesterday. They use all these different things. But I was surprised that we only have 4. One was shot. The other 4 are of other causes. They'll probably say fucking COVID is what they're going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But when they said the military was going to come in, I'm like, all right, this is our capital. And we have our leaders in there. They're going to start shooting people if they're not going to get out. And again, didn't happen. But if all these fuckers would have been going after Target or something like that's that feeling, right? That's that feeling that the nation, the nation has about a lot of these things. If you look at Facebook and everything, the nation's like, where is our level of concern?
We're more concerned about a target than we are with the people that are duly elected representatives.
Why are we concerned about Minneapolis and St. Paul, which we needed to be? But why are we more concerned about that than we were this? Or even when it was like the marches we had years ago, where were those marches that
I was gonna say, like, they murdered all those kids at Kent State
massacre,
protesting the war, but then like you get a bunch of fucking crazy wackos inside the Capitol, and they're like, oh, like all shaking in their space boots about it.
It's just like it's crazy. I don't get it. And it saddens me. It saddens me in 2 levels. And we have assholes that are going to do this to our nation, because this is yesterday, but this ain't done.
Civil War episode.
yeah. Well, oh my God, that was said on the fucking news, by the way.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
CNN, it was said on the news. But it kills me that this is what happened, and it kills me that our response to it, and whether that's because because of our leader or leaders or whatever the decision is. But my God, like, if you know a storm's coming, what do? You board the fucking windows.
Batten down the hatches.
This here too. This picture here. Oh, maybe nope.
There you go.
So you can't really tell, but it says, it says MAGA Civil War, January 6th, 2021. Like, this isn't something that just spontaneously happened.
Yeah.
And it really just pisses me off seeing
get
that one, right?
We were put into curfew in Bemidji.
I believe it.
Not on the 6th. This summer we were put into curfew in Bemidji
during the George Floyd protests,
and they barricaded and put pallets of OSB board in front of Menards and barricaded the police station. And you know what happened? Nothing happened. But they did all that in worry because they heard a group of people were going to come to Bemidji. They heard that a bus from Wisconsin or wherever it was, it's probably Wisconsin, bunch of idiots. A bus from Wisconsin was going to come to Bemidji, and we boarded our freaking town up and we got put into curfew because of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a drop in a pond in Bemidji compared to what that was yesterday, and not a goddamn thing was prepped for it. It was like a freaking hippie peace rally security setup. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm pissed off.
I mean, I might be a hypocrite because during the riots, like in Minneapolis and all that kind of stuff, I was like, this is something I wish we were still doing this back then, because I mean, honestly, in my opinion, like, I understood why those people were rioting. You know, I can't say that I'm necessarily like, I'm neither for or against the rioting. Like, I just was understanding of why it was happening. But like, this isn't that. And it drives me wild that people who love the president, you know, their first instinct is, well, look what they did. Look what they did in Minneapolis. Look what they did in all these cities. You know, look what they did in Portland and Seattle. It's fucking different.
It's way different.
This isn't a fucking break-in of Congress. Like, it's two totally different scenarios.
Two totally different scenarios, but all were match lit by the same anarchy-based assholes going to these places and setting things up too. Because you can't even say that half the shit that happened over the summer, that a large group of it wasn't protesters. It was dickheads going out trying to make
that's actually there was quite a few.
And you saw this yesterday with these assholes wearing sweaters like that, and the dude wearing the Auschwitz shit, and like all these guys,
the buffalo-headed dude.
They don't care if it's Trump. Trump is just the turning key to open the door for them.
Yeah,
they don't care who it is. These guys, and they're the ones going to Black Lives Matter things. They're going to go to whatever matters things.
They're looking for the boogaloo.
Yeah, they're looking to start shit to make our country go fucking nuts, and they're winning. They're doing it, and even it's less of Trump. Again, Trump's freaking D-bag. It could have been anybody that could turn that key and let open the back door, and they would have been there. And it just happens to be the most powerful person in the world doing it for him.
Yeah. So then a lot of people are saying that a lot of these people that were inside of the building that you're seeing on the news were Antifa, which is fucking stupid. Because a lot of these people that they're well, I mean, the media is straight up doxing these people.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite once again from our last episode. But I mean, these are the kind of people, like, I mean, these aren't fucking people who are being racist on the internet. These are fucking terrorists.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm okay with that. But I mean, these people have been at several events protesting on far right QAnon white supremacist type of protests.
Yeah, Buffalo Head guy is a very famous QAnon member.
The QAnon shaman.
Yeah.
But that's the stupid thing, though. It makes me so mad because, like, these defenders of Trump on the internet are saying it wasn't us; it was Antifa. Yeah, you're a little washed out, but that guy too.
Yeah, that guy too.
The Buffalo Head guy.
That one.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like these guys have been at several of these far right white supremacist type of rallies, but like, I just don't like. You can't just call the kettle fucking black. Like, call it what it is. It's terrorism. It's not, well, look what they did before. It's fucking terrorism.
Oh,
and like,
like yesterday you saw that, Matt, like when I just started going off on that. And like people were trying to call it, oh, it's rioting and rioting. I said, no, it's straight up sedition. What it is, these guys are domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
It's not a protest anymore. It's not rioting.
Nope. So the best thing we can hope for is a 25th Amendment, which won't happen. But right now,
then you get mixed corners like this. You get spots where you have officers defending.
Oh yeah.
And going toe to toe, like tossing fists. Like, look at these guys. Like they're going after them because this is their duty. This is what they should have been doing. And then you have the other.
Some of the protesters were pepper spraying the cops too.
But then you have the small number, and I'm going to say again, I don't care. I don't care where you're at. You have good and bad in everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's inherently good and everyone's inherently bad. It just depends on how far you're going to go to one side or the other. And so cops are inherently good and inherently bad because we're human. This is a small number of shitty cops. That's going to that makes it look super bad again, because then you got to go and you got to say, all right, here's the heroes, right? These guys are the heroes.
Yep.
And then we're gonna scroll down to the people taking pictures and Snapchats with these dudes and go, these guys are douchebags. This guy's a douchebag. Wave him in. Come on in, guys. Come hang out. We have coffee and donuts for you. Like, go to jail.
Like,
go to jail.
We've talked about Rage Against the Machine, like Zach De La Rocha wisely said, some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses.
Yeah.
And we saw that yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, those people should be arrested right with the people that stormed the Capitol. I mean, those police. I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, the revolution was televised and it was a complete fucking failure. So if they don't use the 25th Amendment, luckily our sweetheart Ilhan Omar from the cities, at least I like her. She's drafting articles of impeachment right now. Who knows? It probably won't work, but fuck him. He'll be impeached twice. And I hope he leaves the country and never comes back again, because he will go to prison.
He's going to have to leave, or he's going to go to prison, because if he does, and that's the thing.
Isn't he down in Mar-a-Lago right now or something?
No, he's still
he's at Camp David right now. Oh. Yeah, like he wanted to go to Mar-a-Lago, but like I think for his safety, they moved him to Camp David, because there's a lot of people right now that want his head on a pike.
Well, and
I'm honestly very afraid. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I'm very afraid that going forward the next, however how long,
14 days.
I really feel like in the next couple of years we're gonna start seeing some shit. Like we're gonna start seeing things like assassination attempts and stuff, because like I do unfortunately believe that this was a turning point in the struggle between ideologies. And I think that we're going to start to see some shit popping off because of it.
Well, so, what's also happened the last 4 years is fear to challenge has gone away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everyone talks, we all have our issues with the government. We all have our issues with our country and everything like that. And the world has.
He's frozen.
Yeah.
I imagine what he's saying was very impactful.
Yeah,
but he's frozen.
He's frozen.
That's what we get for doing it live. He might become.
He's
back alive. He's back.
Oh man,
what were you saying, Graham? Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm buying a new computer this weekend. That's what I'm freaking.
Hey.
One of the things I was going to say earlier was like when you talked about the National Guard getting called in. They originally were called in way earlier, but the request was denied. And it was actually Vice President Pence was the one that ended up making the call and said, you guys need to get in here now. And they listened and came.
Yeah. Has that been proven yet?
I did see that Mike Pence is the one who called him in.
Yeah.
But has that first one been fact checked?
That I don't know. I haven't personally heard that part.
That was just a rumor I saw.
I heard it on the news.
Sorry, I should have stated that it was a rumor that was reported on multiple sources yesterday.
That's again where I think once we start seeing this stuff come out, we're going to start finding out the truth about those things too. Because if they denied the request, ridiculous. Also, by the way, Mike Pence wore a blue tie the whole night. You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny is I remember back in the day someone told me about like what they'd wear, like what the tie signifies. Like red is like a power move. I don't exactly remember, but
Yeah.
Mike Pence, I mean Trump. Oh, also important to say, Trump is now banned on Facebook indefinitely,
and Instagram, and was
Instagram and Twitter. Twitter, he was banned for 12 hours.
Did they still? Is he still locked out, or did he finally remove those videos?
No,
I'm pretty sure he's still locked out.
He's locked out until he's out of office. Is pretty much what both those companies.
And before he was locked out, he said that Mike Pence was a coward. And so like there's some bad blood there.
Have we ever seen that?
No.
We've never seen that. Like you don't have mom and dad fight in front of the country, right?
But isn't it weird how it's not unexpected? We've never seen it before, but isn't it weird how unexpected it is? Yeah.
Well, and then like, did you see his speech last night when they reconvened after they secured the Capitol building? I mean, like
he said something like, "You guys have not won today" or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically called those people out as enemies.
Yeah.
Which Trump was like, "Go home. We love you. You're very important." And Pence is like, "Look, you're an enemy, and you didn't win today.
We're gonna find you." Essentially, what he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like
they need to get rid of Trump and just let Pence rock this out, because at this point Pence is scrambling because homeboy is gonna want to run for office again someday. Like Pence is gonna want to be president someday. Because I don't necessarily like I honestly think like he's gonna run for office.
I mean, he did reports where he wanted to retire after this, but I don't think that's gonna happen now.
I mean, Trump's fucking done. Like his political career is over. Like anytime he goes into a primary after this, it's going to be a mess for him.
Because everything's over, and the thing is, you know, right now they have to do something because he still has power, and we can't have him having power, plain and simple. And so that's why
I feel like I've just been.
He'll be impeached. I hope Pence just steps up and declares 25th Amendment and takes over and makes it easy for us to feel at least a little bit safe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, from what I'm reading here is congressional Democrats have called on Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment, or else they will impeach Trump again. Yep. So I mean, it's kind of like a do it or else. But I mean, I don't even think it matters. Like
even
well, I mean, it depends. I mean, realistically,
there's quite a lot of support across the aisle for it too.
Well, depending on when the Georgia Democrats take their seat in the Senate, whenever they're sworn in, it could work, because I don't remember if they just need a majority or if they need 2/3.
2/3 majority.
Yeah, never mind. It ain't gonna fucking pass then.
I think
I don't think it'll happen.
I mean, I think you'd be surprised. I mean, there was GOP senators that were also calling for the 25th Amendment to be invoked.
I mean, I hope so, but I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like what they're going to say is they're going to say, "Look, he has 13 days left. What's the worst that can happen?" And I'm afraid of what that is.
You guys see this chick?
Was that the one that was rubbing onions on her eye?
Yeah, yeah.
After being interviewed, or like right before being interviewed, or something.
You know, it's funny. Didn't we talk about this guy?
Was he there?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he was. And yeah, because he said, "Watch out, there's gonna be violence." Like fucking people knew this was coming. And like, mark my words, like I know that we might have more people, because I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna share this one on Facebook because I think this is important information. But I will say this: if you're somebody who's gonna defend this action, you're a piece of shit. That's my piece. I can't speak for these two, but if you defend anything that happened yesterday, you're a piece of shit. Like, we knew it was going to happen. It could have been avoided. They're terrorists. Arrest them. Get Trump the fuck out of office. That's my thought.
Next episode, how the Simpsons know the future.
So, I mean, like we said, guys, we wanted to keep this short and sweet for you, but I mean, this is super important for us, and we wanted to make sure that we could get our thoughts, at least for posterity's sakes, on this, because I mean, honestly, good or bad, this is history. This is something that, you know, they're going to be talking about when we're long dead. And this is a time for us to talk to our kids talk to people important around us and make sure that we're telling them the significance of what happened yesterday.
And we're going to be able to tell them.
You hear me ever do on this episode.
And we're going to be able to tell our children and our grandchildren, and hopefully that'll get passed down, that an assault on democracy was attempted and failed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So, yeah, you've watched this has been a special episode of It's a Graham Matt podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Graham.
I'm Alan.
See you guys.
Peace.